If you are an estate agent, letting agent, or someone who is interested in the property market, then this, the UK Property Market Stats Show, is for you. My name is Chris Watkin, and each week I host this show, and I always have a special guest. This week we have the wonderful Alice Bullard from Nested, and we'll come to Alice in a second. So what is the UK Property Market Stats Show? Well, the British are obsessed with the property market and house prices. And therefore, whenever the Land Registry or the Nationwide or the Halifax publish stats, everyone's on it. The issue is that the Land Registry is looking at sales that took place in December or January this year, December last year. The Nationwide and Halifax are looking at sales that took place and house prices from sales that were agreed in the summer, even late spring. We're looking at last week. We're looking at last week's house prices. We're looking at what happened in the property market to listings, to fall-throughs, to sales agreed, to exchanges. And by working that out, we can tell you exactly what's happening in the property market. So if you want to know what's happening in the property market for week 38 of 2024, which is, just for everyone's benefit, Monday the 16th of September, all the way through and including Sunday the 22nd of September. As I said, I was joined by the wonderful Alice Bullard. I think this is her third or fourth time on the show. Alice is the MD and head lady, top governor of Nested, which are a specialist estate agency operation based around the UK. Alice, I think it's your third time back.
Yeah, third time back.
You've done an amazing job both times, so thank you for coming back for the third time.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Chris.
Excellent, excellent. So, ladies and gentlemen, the way this show is going to work is this. It will last approximately 1 hour. The first 30 to 40 minutes of it will be based looking purely on the UK property market, looking at all the stats that we've just mentioned. The second half of the show is looking specifically at a town or a city's property market, where we really deep dive and have a look at which agents are the king agents in that town. A bit like a Rightmove Plus report on steroids. For anyone that isn't an estate agent, Rightmove Plus is the back-end MI management information on Rightmove. It is absolutely fantastic, but this is like that on steroids with glitter balls and lasers. It is absolutely awesome. Now, the show that we're doing on it, well, last week we had it on Wokingham, so I just thought for a little play on words, this week we'd have it on Woking, which is obviously in South West London, in the Surrey suburbs. I think it's in Surrey, and it might even be Sussex. I think it is actually Surrey, and beautiful town, decent town of around 100,000 people with its surrounding villages, and we'll have a look at those. Now, if you are an agent who is not in Woking, you might not want to watch that, but I would certainly recommend you did, and let me explain why. There's an awful lot of you out there that are suffering from overvaluing, from agents who are doing cheap fees, and the bit of kit that we're going to use to prove who the best agent is in Woking is a kit that can prove other agents are overvaluing independently. It can prove whether they are taking too long to sell houses. It can prove whether they are a list it and don't sell it agent, or they can prove that you're a damn good agent, that you put it on at the right price and you sell it. So really, at the end of the day, if you are suffering from overvaluing, cheap fees, and landlords leaving you, then I'd certainly recommend that you watch that element of the show, because you can take up the bit of kit that I'm going to be showing you, and you can show the agents and the vendors in your town that you're the best estate agent. So with no further ado, Alice, shall we deep dive into the Stataroonies?
Let's do it.
Okay, here we go. So you should be able to see the full graph. Can you just confirm that before we kick off?
Yes, I can see that.
Beautiful. So for anyone that's not watched the show before, ladies and gentlemen, the way it works is this. We start off with the listings. I just spend a minute going through the numbers, and then Alice gives her thoughts and independent. So here we go. Now, the graphs that I'm showing you today are all available to download, both on the podcast, in the description, there's a link there, and also on YouTube as well. They are all available to download, and they are available for you to use internally, and they are also available for you to use your valuations. So I'm more than happy for you to take them out to your valuations to show vendors that you know what you're talking about and prove your market knowledge. What I do ask is this, though, is that you do not publish them on social media. My daytime job is that I'm a property economist, content writer, writing articles on local property markets. And as a bonus, I give these graphs to my clients to publish the national stuff. So I ask that you do not publish them on social media as a matter of courtesy. But anyway, let's crack on. With regard to the listings, okay, the white line that you can see here is the listings for 2024, and you can quite clearly see here, right? So we'll just have a quick look at the listings. This week, our listings are on 37,417, which is a slight dip from last week, where it was 38,000, and a slight dip from the week before where it was 38,600. Obviously, the week before that was the bank holiday. God, can we remember the bank holiday? Dina, it seems like a million miles
So long ago,
Oh.
especially with this weather.
I know. So again, we're comparing our years against other years. So again, just so you can see here, we've got other years which ranged anywhere between 30,000, which is in 2017, all the way up to 32,000. So we are at 34,000 in, which is the blue line, 2018. So we can see, again, I'm sure Alice will, well, I'll let Alice talk about how we compare with other years. The reason we're comparing 17, 18, 19 and 23 is that they are more normal years. We will be bringing in 20, 21 and 22 in the later figures, but we don't bring them in on this listings because it just doesn't add anything, because they were silly years in terms of stats going everywhere. In terms of year to date, in terms of listings, we're on 1.342 million, which is 8.1% ahead of 2023's figures of 1.242 million, and 7.7% ahead of the more normal years of 17, 18 and 19. The average asking price of a property coming on the market, £460,000. Alice, over to you. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, as you rightly mentioned, we expected that dip with bank holidays, as we've seen previously in the year as well. That bounce back is good, right? That kind of steep increase a couple of weeks ago. And look, yes, we are starting to go down, but that is to be expected. I think what's probably given a lot of people confidence is the fact that we've had over the summer, especially in August, 3 positive news. We've got a new government. We've got mortgage rates products that are coming out, and obviously we've got the Bank of England with the base rate change. So I think that's given a lot more people confidence, which is why we've seen that sort of steep increase. But yeah, look, naturally you would expect it now to start going down ever so slightly.
Very much so. And again, you can see here in week 43, she's starting to dip. Just to give you an idea, ladies and gentlemen, this will be dipping down into the 20s as we get into October and November, and then it gets into single digits in December, so thousands. Yeah. So don't be alarmed what about the stats that you're seeing. There is a natural drift off, but you can see here there is a tonality to the stats in terms of the listings. Is that every January she takes off nice and steady during February and March. We always have 3 dips in the spring, Easter and the 2 bank holidays, a slight drifting down throughout the summer, big dip down for Easter bank holiday, and then we'll just nicely drift down like a glider, all being well. Because again, ladies and gentlemen, what you've got to remember is this, is in terms of the total number of properties for sale, which again, we'll just have a quick look at now. We're jumping ahead. Here we go. So the number of properties that are currently for sale, 710,000. And again, just so you're aware of this, the yellow lines, we always look at the end of every month. So we're filming this on Tuesday, the 24th of September for publication on Friday, the 27th. So we'll only do this at the end of September. All the yellow lines are all of the end of August's. You could say, well, there's nearly twice as much stock on the market, nearly, compared to a couple of years ago. And yeah, there is nearly double the amount. But again, that figure in 2008, which was the year of the global financial crash, that was 1.2, 1.3 million. And again, property market is not immune to demand and supply. And if we recall, the reason house prices went down, ladies and gentlemen, in 2008 was too much supply not enough demand because we had the mortgage. It was called the credit crunch, as in you couldn't get mortgages. Too many houses on the market, not enough buy, or an inability to buy. That's why house prices dropped between 16 and 19%. What caused the people putting the property on the market is another story. But what caused the house prices to drop was an imbalance between demand and supply.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Let's get back to listings. Is there anything else on the listings, Alice, that you want to talk about before we move on to price changes?
No, just to reiterate that we will start to see it decline as we're coming into Q4, but that's to be expected.
That is to be expected. Okay, so this week we're now looking at the price changes. Now, again, as I said, we're running a stock level of around 710,000, which means that if we are reducing on average 25,000 a month, which is about right, then we are reducing around 100,000 of the 700,000 a month, which works out approximately 15 or 16%, or 1 in 6 houses, 1 in 6.5 houses are currently being reduced per month. Now, I'm of the opinion that is not enough. And again, this stat has hardly changed in the last couple of years, that only 52 to 53% of the properties that we put onto the market end up exchanging and completing. 47% of properties withdraw from agents' books unsold. And again, that's most of that's down to overvaluing. I don't think that's enough, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, look, as we've just mentioned, there's a lot of positive sentiment with those 3 changes that happened in the summer. But make no mistake, the buyers is still a very price sensitive market. So although there's a lot of positivity, there's a lot of confidence within the market in general, properties have to be priced realistically in order to sell. There's no point in overpricing. It doesn't do good for your pipeline. You say it all the time here, Chris, like we're here to actually sell properties. It doesn't do good to your pipeline, and it doesn't do good to the outcome for the client. So very price sensitive market still, even though we feel a lot of positivity around the market in general.
Let us remind ourselves, ladies, you're absolutely bang on, you're so right. Let's remind ourselves, the sell-through rate is what percentage of your existing stock are you selling per month? And you can see here that even in the good times, if they are such a thing, as the post-lockdown boom, we were only selling, it felt more than this.
Yeah.
But we were only in the crazy years, we were only shifting 30% of our pipeline.
Yeah.
And at the moment we're shifting 15%, 16%, which means you are selling 1 in 6 of your properties on the market, your stock, not pipeline, stock levels. And therefore I find it absolutely fascinating that agents still overvalue. I don't know if you saw the stat that I published a couple of days ago, where I said that 93% of the properties that with under a sole agency agreement sell with the first agent that sells it.
Yeah.
Now, some people have raised an eyebrow at that figure. And again, I think London is a big influencing factor on that one. But it's interesting. I was talking to a very good friend of mine, and we were actually said it feels higher, but actually, when you actually nail it down, the question is this, ladies and gentlemen. And again, if you the magic thing is this: go and look at all the stock that you put on the market in the last year, and work out how many of those have come from a second agent. You're the second agent, and then how many of those have you actually sold?
Yeah, it'll be a good exercise to do yourself. How
many times do we say it doesn't feel right? I mean, the number of people who have said, and again, there is a certain large portal out there, whose name shall remain Rightmove nameless. And the number of people, we are the problem with human beings is that we are very emotional, and not particularly logical. And the number of agents that feel hatred is the wrong, well, there are some that do that, but
Mm.
really disdain for Rightmove. But when you actually, the number of agents who I've actually challenged, said, right, go away and look at every single one of your sales or your listings and see where they've come from.
Yeah.
And actually, when you actually put the time and effort in, and you can get off watching funny videos of cats going on Roombas, which I do like, especially the ones that are dressed up as sharks. You must check that out.
Oh God.
Okay. That actually,
We digress.
no, but still, no, don't worry, no one watches the show anyway. Um, Rightmove does offer damn good value for money. I still believe that, in my humble opinion. I wouldn't be going for the bells and whistles packages. Yes,
Yeah.
I think they could be a bit better and smiling a bit, but and there should be a bit more love from them. But fundamentally, I still think they're damn good value for money.
Yeah.
Anyway,
No, I definitely don't disagree with that. I've done an exercise recently looking at number of inquiries per portal and price we pay, etc. I won't go into detail, but I agree with the sentiment you're saying there. I also agree with, the feel factor. Like looking at this, as you said, back in the glory days of sort of post-COVID, and how many properties were selling, it was feeling like a lot more than that. The way that you feel, your gut can definitely help you make decisions, but actually you can't argue with the raw data and what data is saying. So I agree with what you're saying, Chris. Go and do these exercises with your stock, and then you'll have a really good picture of how you're performing and where you need to then start focusing on and taking it forward.
Absolutely bang on. I mean, again, just those stats about the 93, that is not a charter for overvaluing. Do remember, ladies and gentlemen, that even though 93% of sale agreeds come from the first agent, only 53% of properties that come onto the market end up actually exchanging.
Yeah.
And that is, I was talking to a mate of mine this morning, and we were actually going through the different London agents. In the top 10 estate agents in London, there are agents who are shifting 55% of the properties that are putting on the market, which you could say, well, that doesn't sound a lot. That's about the national average. Two of the biggest estate agents, household names in London, are shifting 25 and 26 and 27, somewhere between those two figures.
Yeah.
Big names, like big.
Big. We can make big names. It does just show you that, I guess, companies that are focusing on instructions as metrics, as like their key metrics, are missing a trick. It's not about instructions. It's about the end of the funnel. It's about how many properties you actually end up selling versus the number of instructions you get. And that's I think, unfortunately, why we find ourselves in situations where people are overvaluing. It's because they're chasing that instruction rather than chasing that completion. To flip it on its head, Chris.
What is particularly interesting is that I've done an analysis of the top 20 or 30. I think it's around there, 20-30%. Sorry, start again. I've done an analysis of the top 20 or 30 estate agents I did this about 6 months ago, so I must do it again. When I did the analysis, what I did is I sectioned out the ones that are either owner operated or corporate or owned by someone else. Okay, so the franchises, they're owner operated. The self-employed agent models are owner operated. In the top, the top 20, those are the only ones that are owner operated, and their exchange to listings ratio was heads and shoulders above the ones that were owned by companies.
Yeah, you should definitely do it again.
If that is not an advert for basically, and again, the ones that have particularly good stats are the ones where there is one agent all the way through, personal agent, from putting the house on the market to wait for this one, listers doing their own, doing their vendor management and not leaving it to floss.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I had an interview yesterday with an agent from London, and I said, right, I'm of the opinion that the industry was ruined when you split up negs, valuers, and sales chasing. Okay. Now, what is particularly interesting, we came to this conclusion, is that if you only had to amalgamate two of those three jobs, and I'd like your opinion, we would amalgamate the neg and the valuer together, and you could outsource the sales progression. But this was the particular, which I think was this. I had a wonderful argument is the wrong word because we are very good friends and we like to discuss it. But an owner of a very large network, and he said he doesn't believe in sales progression. But this guy from London made this great point. He said when the sales progression unit has got skin in the game, i.e., they do not get paid unless they get it through,
Hmm.
i.e., they're not on a salary. That is
Yeah.
the thing that blew my mind. I think, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, yeah, it really makes so that's exactly how we run it at Nested. So those agents that want to use sales progression, we have a large majority that do. They want to spend their time going out, getting the listings, getting properties under offer, giving good vendor care. They pass over the day-to-day deal chasing to the progressors, and they only get paid on completion. So, like you said, skin in the game. I think that the big one for me is making sure that the agent stays very close to the deal when things are getting a bit hairy or when a price negotiation needs to happen. But the actual admin side of the deal chasing, having someone focusing on that day to day, I know that it impacts our metrics internally. Not everyone uses an outsourced progressor at Nested, but quite a large majority do, and it really does make a difference. So I'm all for it personally, and I agree with what you're saying. Valuer and neg, bring them together. That's that part of the transaction, and then you've got that progressor overseeing the second half. I think it makes complete sense.
Absolutely bang on. I'm glad we agree on that one. Right, let's move over to gross sales, and the white line here is the 2024 figure. And as you can see here, she's doing really well at 26,357, which, comparing it with the years of 17, 18, and 19, we've got figures ranging from last year at 20,800, which is the pink line, and other years, which again are more normal years, 23, 21, and 22. So this is really, really good. I'm really chuffed with this one. We'll just zoom in a bit, just to feel the love there. But look at that. That is something awesome.
It's good, yeah.
But remember, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot. Remember stop levels. Again, let's just
Not
temper
stop.
this. Let's just temper this slightly. Think of the stop levels.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
interestingly, here's a nice graph, and this is the UK monthly house sales as a percentage of the 6-year average. And I mean, again, this is the lockdown boom here. The pink line is I just thought, I just come up with ideas and just drop them into a graph. The pink line is the Bank of England base rate. And what we did is on the UK is we took the average number of sales per month going back to January 19 and then applied what the actual sales were and then did a percentage up or down. It's interesting. I did this graph for all of my clients on a local town by town basis. And apart from a few places in London and a few in Scotland, they were almost identical. Is that we were bumbling along quite nicely in 19. We had the lockdown drop. We had the post lockdown booms. And then we had the trust budget. That's high interest rates, and look how we are doing now. So that's really good. But again,
It'll be really interesting to see at the end of the year what that graph looks like. You're the stats man. What's your prediction?
I think we'll just continue on quite nicely.
Yeah.
I think again the number that's important with estate agents is transaction levels, not house prices. And I think last year I think we finished. Again, the stats I publish on the exchanges are just for second hand. We have to add in the new homes on top. I think we'll end up on about 970-ish thousand second hand exchanges, and then we add the new homes on top, and we'll end up at probably just around 1.15, 1.18, knocking on the door of 1.2. Because again, ladies and gentlemen, you shouldn't be afraid of house prices. The price houses are irrelevant. It's all about transaction levels and how many of those you are having. Right? Do you know we are we are going down some Pandora's boxes today. But that's what we like. This way. Okay, so let's just come back. So there's the sales agreed.
Yeah, positive.
In terms of sales agreed month to date, we are on 940,000, which is 13.5% higher year to date than last year and 10.74% ahead of 17, 18 or 19. The average asking price of a property being sold is 371. Okay. We'll come on to the difference between the average asking price selling and the average price being listed in a second. This is a graph I showed a few weeks ago, and this shows you. Oh, sorry, that's being cropped a bit. I apologise. Let's pull that out. There we go. So this shows you the number of UK residential sales agreed. That's the red line with a yellow outline. As a percentage of listings overlaid with the total number of listings. So again, you can see here that back in 2021, we were selling, you know, if you put on 10 listings a month and you were selling 12, that's 120%. Okay. But here we are hovering around the 70 or 80% mark. So if you're putting 10 houses on the market and your sale agreeing 7. So again, that just be aware of that with that. What's your thoughts on sales agreed?
Yeah, just obviously the graph that we zoomed up in, it can zoom up again. This is positive, but obviously we have got kind of a high level of listings on the market, so we should expect to see this looking positive too. So just reiterating, sorry if I sound like a broken record to your listeners, but this is still a price sensitive market. Yes, buyers have more choice. I think it was Nationwide that came out this year that gave a 6-month salary option to buyers, which shows a lot of confidence in the market from the banks, which is great. But they're still very price sensitive. Buyers are still very aware, and it's not a time to be overvaluing and delivering for your clients and for your own pipeline. So that's my kind of overlying message throughout this whole thing.
You're so right. And I'm going to be a broken record. Remember, only 47%, only 53% of properties that you put on the market at the moment in the UK, you're being paid on. The other 47% are being withdrawn. And again, another stat that we launched a few weeks ago, and I'll remind you, ladies and gentlemen, is this: if a property sells within 7 days, if a property sells within 25 days of a property coming onto the market, it has a 94% chance of exchanging. If a property takes more than 100 days to get a sale agreed, its chances of actually exchanging go from 94% to around 55%.
It's a big jump, huge jump.
Massive jump. Okay. So I'm of the opinion there is such a thing as ethical overvaluing, right? Okay. And ethical overvaluing, ladies and gentlemen, is where the valuer says, yes, we can try it at 325, but I think the house is worth 300, and then actually books in an appointment 3 or 4 weeks after the property's been on the market, and we'll say we'll take great photographs, we'll take great descriptions, and when you do the photos and descriptions, you send it to the vendor, and you make sure you say to the vendor, are you happy with these photographs before we launch? Are you happy with it? Because remember, you're going to say to the vendor, the only reason this property won't sell is poor photos and marketing or the price. So what I will do is this, ladies and gentlemen, what I'll do, Mr. or Mrs. Vendor, is this. I will take the photographs and do the write-up, and I will not put it onto the market until you're 100 million% happy. You're setting them up by doing that. And then in 3 weeks' time, you'll say, right, I'm going to book in an appointment, and we'll book it in at the time of listing for me to come around in 3 weeks' time if we haven't sold the property. And at that week, you can say, right, I said to you on the listing, it will solely sell. The only reason this won't sell is for 2 reasons: the marketing, photographs, or the price. You said to me you're happy with the photos and the marketing 3 weeks ago. Has anything changed? No. Right, we need to change the price.
Yeah. Could I quickly give my pitch?
Do it.
The way that I've always explained it is that I'm not ultimately valuing your property. Your property is being dictated, its worth is being dictated by the buyers and mortgage company surveyors that come in and accept that value. My job as your estate agent is to get you the best price I possibly can, and that leads to what the right marketing strategy to be. So I'm coming around talking about what the right marketing strategy is to get those buyers through the door. And what that means is sometimes, yes, you can try a slightly higher price for the marketing strategy, but if that strategy doesn't get the buyers through the door, you're not going to get the best price. And therefore, adjusting that strategy and changing that 2 weeks in to get the footfall is the thing that ultimately is going to get you the best price in the market. The buyers determine what the property is worth for them, not the estate agent that goes around and says your property is worth 500,000. That's ultimately my view. People might disagree.
I think it's a great point of view, and it's a great way of looking at it. Isn't it interesting that we go round when we go valuing properties and they say XYZ agent gave me this figure? The perception, people's perception is that it's the estate agent giving them the price.
Yes,
Are you buying the house? It's not. And therefore,
not.
it's our responsibility as estate agents to ensure that, that you are a trusted advisor. You're not giving the perception you're buying it.
Yeah, yeah, agreed.
Right, let's move on. Right, here we go. So this graph here, remember, let's just remind ourselves, okay? The average price of a property selling, 371. So that's the asking price of the property. We don't know what it's sold for. Okay, and the average asking price of a property come on the market is 460. That, ladies and gentlemen, is quite a gap. Now, this gap here this week is around 24%. Okay. Now, basically, what's been happening here is that this is the London effect. You're a London agent.
Yeah.
Okay. The property market carries on in the UK in July and August as normal, but you lot go abroad. And then you'll come back. This jump here, and you can see it's they're following identically, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's last September.
You know it's coming. Yeah, you know it's coming when you're coming up to this kind of point in the year. Everyone comes back from their holidays. I also think you probably maybe had a bit more of a spike this time because prime central London is impacted so closely with what's happening in the economy and what's happening globally. And we've had that election, we've had that base rate, most importantly the base rate change, giving a lot of certainty back to the prime market. But actually, it'll be interesting to see what happens to the prime market over the coming weeks. And Knight Frank came out this week and said that budget uncertainty has replaced election uncertainty. So again, these small things that happen within the UK really do impact that prime market. But yeah, that spike, I'm assuming, as you know, is because of properties being put on.
And the really weird thing is that remember, we're putting on the market 35,000 properties a week, and this is probably only 5,000 or 6,000 properties that are extra on normal for London. Look at how London is a world. It could be an alien colony for all it it is, and it's amazing when you strip London out of the UK stats. It really is. I mean, you ought to see the rental stats. You strip London out. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
A market within a market, isn't it?
Yeah. Right. So that just shows week 38 in isolation, showing the average asking price of listing versus the average sale price. That's the sale price when it went to sale agreed. Again, we're on 24% of the difference this week, like I said. Let's move on to sale fall throughs. And this week we have fallen through, hold on a second, we've got the numbers here. 6,627 properties, which again, if you look on that stat, looks pretty scary again, just for anyone's benefit. This is percent, so we'll hold on, let's go back. We're doing numbers first, my apologies. So we're on 6,600, just 6,900 actually. Let's just confirm that. Hold on 2 seconds, ladies and gentlemen. 66, yep, sorry, there we go. So we're on 66. Oh wait, okay. Now actually that graph has not been updated. That should have dropped down there. My apologies, ladies and gentlemen, but again, it's around 66, but still that looks quite high. But again, what you tend to find is this: we have the drop downs in spring, sorry, in the Christmas, there's the two Christmas slumps. It does go up. I expect it to kind of start dropping. It hasn't, but what we do have to remember is that we've got more properties in the sales pipeline. And again, last week I showed a graph. I haven't got it on me now, but we are that the sales falling through as a percentage of the total sales pipeline is very constant at around 6%. Okay, so that is not particularly. Oh, actually, I've got it here. I'm slack graph.
You just change the order maybe slightly.
Okay, so that's just showing us that the the percentage of sales pipeline that fell through is around the 6% mark. So we'll get that updated next month. But again, there's nothing particularly that's really scaring me here. Anything scaring you?
Nothing's scaring me, just maybe something for people to be slightly aware of is that there is more stock on the market for people, or there's been quite a big increase in stock coming to the market. So again, making sure that your buyers are informed and feel like they're being brought through the process, because there is stock that's coming on that they can switch to. So that progression piece, just even more important when there's a fair bit of stock available for those buyers. You don't want them to be tempted to be switching, but we don't see that. We can't see that trend. It's just something to always just have in the back of the mind, I think.
Well, it is actually interesting. Anecdotally, I've been talking to people tend to get nervous feet around week 16, 17. And I'm really I'm hosting a face-to-face, I'm just bringing it up now, event at Twickenham on, here we go, on Tuesday, the 22nd of October at Twickenham. It's a free event for open to agents. And we're going to be talking about how tech can help estate agents get the sale through, get more sold, and then at higher fees, and then actually get it through. And the two things which I think we are a lot that we're focusing on one of the sessions is two things. Is the use of material information up front. A lot of valuers are seeing that as a barrier to get the listing, when if you sell it and position it correctly, can actually get you the listing, as opposed to being a barrier to get the listing. But again, it's the way you're trained and the way you're supported to do that. And then the other thing, which I'm very, very passionate about, is reservation agreements. And that stops someone throwing their rat out there, Pram, when they get frustrated at week 17, saying, if this thing doesn't exchange, I'm pulling out. And that's just emotion and rage.
Yeah.
And then the sale falls through. But if they're on the line for $3,000.
Yeah, I'm being tempted by other stock that is on the market. Those are two big ones, and obviously progression as well. Having a dedicated admin progressor, I think is an important one.
Absolutely bang on, right. So net sales white line is this year, and you can see here. I mean, you would to say that we are literally. Let's just have a quick look at the stats here. 2021 is that line 58. Let's have a look. That we are. Hold on. Here we are. We're on 19,730. That's gross sales less fall throughs equals net sales. This week, 19,730 net sales in 2021, which was a really good year. It was only 20,200.
But back then we were selling a higher percentage of the stock that we had on.
Point taken. Point taken. But you know me, I'm an optimistic sort of guy.
Oh no, I'm 100% optimistic too. And again, banging the drum, you've got to be pricing your stock right, otherwise it's not going to be selling.
Indeed. But you know, the bottom line is this. Yeah, you're right. I can't disagree with you. But to say that we are within a hair's breadth of the 21 figures. Okay.
We would, if we'd have said that at the beginning in January on week 1, we would have been like, nah, don't believe you.
No, but
very good.
That's good. Right. Okay. So in terms of net sales year to date, so we'll just pull the Stataroonies up on that one. We are 16.2% ahead of 23 figures and 5% ahead of the average of 17, 18 or 19. And so those are your net sale figures there. Oh, there you go. There's the two figures. I don't need to go and start squinting. And then a couple of extra little graphettes. Gross sales as a percentage of listings. We've done that on a trend basis, and this is standalone, and price changes as a percentage. House prices. The official figures come in at the end of the month for September, but I can get something that's pretty damn close, and we're looking at that orange line. House prices have dipped up from around £338 per square foot in last month to presently £342. Why am I quoting this, ladies and gentlemen? Okay, ignore the red line. That's the pound per square foot at properties coming on the market. Ignore the exchanges, which is the pound per square foot at exchange. So the sold subject to contract pound per square foot figure matches the land registry in 5 or 6 months' time. With a color, I can never say that word. They took the mickey out of me on social media. Correlation. Oh, I can say it.
Correlation.
Yeah,
Good word.
of around 92%. Okay, so if you want to know what's going to happen to house prices to the land registry in 5 or 6 months' time, you follow the orange line. Okay, so we can tell what will happen to the land registry 6 months in advance with a high level of confidence.
Yeah.
So we can tell the bottom of the market and we can tell the top of the market. Okay, and you can see here it's just been bumbling around since 22, and but again, that might just drift off next month. You never know, but just heads up. Watch that, ladies and gentlemen. It's just a little extra treat for the show. Right. Okay. Any thoughts before we go to Woking and look at the local stats there?
Yeah, just we've said it quite a few times this last past half an hour, but it's really, really positive out there. I think we should take a lot of positivity away from what's happening in the market. Banks have got more confident. Bank of England are getting more confident. We obviously haven't seen a base rate change this month, but hopefully will before the end of the year. But it's very, very price sensitive out there at the moment. Buyers are very aware of pricing, and it's not going to help you or your pipeline or your clients if you go out and overvalue. That's my overlying message for today.
Good stuff. Right, ladies and gentlemen, let us now go to Woking and find out what's happening in the Woking property market. Like I said before, though, ladies and gentlemen, even if you're not a Woking agent, then do probably, if you are suffering from overvaluing, you're suffering from cheap fees and losing landlords, then you might find this of interest to you. Right, so let's go to Woking. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the piece of software that we're using for this is called Insights, and it is from a firm called 20EA. 20EA have a number of different platforms, one of which is Insight. Insight is, in my humble opinion, Rightmove Plus on steroids with lasers and glitterballs. It is absolutely game-changing stuff. And you could say, well, that word gets used with abandon. This is special stuff. They're part of the 20CI group, which they're kings of data. They've got lots of fingers in lots of pies with regard to the data. They're not just scraping the portals here. They're involved with just about every single solicitors and things like that, and other data sources as well. I've been involved with them for the last couple of years, and their data is exceptional. Okay, I'm a bit of a data geek, and I challenge them, and they've always come up with the right answers. I must stress to you that the Insights platform is something I'm using this without any payment from 20EA. They do give me the platform free of charge, so I'm happy to declare that. But in return, as I said, they do not pay me to mention their product. I am absolutely a big fan of it. This product is available to agents on a town-by-town basis, on a regional basis, and on a national basis. I believe also there's a freemium version as well, but it is quite limited. I don't believe it's a lot of money, but again, you're not to mention my name. I'm not on commission. I'm just a massive fan of it. And I know you are as well, Alice, and our very good mutual friend, Verona, who was on the show last week. She's an absolutely massive fan of it as well. What we're going to do is we're going to go to Woking, and I will spend the next 20 minutes going through that. Basically, if you spot something that you want to talk about, well, then shout up. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
So here we go. So for the purposes of this, we're looking at Woking, and the postcode districts we're using is GU 21, 22, 23, and 24. GU 21 and 22, I believe, are the core town postcodes. And then and then the clamshells around it are 23 and 24. Okay. In the clamshells that go around Woking, there's a couple of little suburban large villages, but mostly those properties do tend to gravitate towards Woking. We are looking at first off, we're looking at new instructions between the 1st of January 2019 and the 23rd of September 2024. We are not putting new home builders on there, and we're looking at all price ranges. We will look at the upper quartile in a second. And here we go. And the bloody hell. Sorry, excuse the French. there's one thing that's screaming at me. I don't know if you've
Yeah,
seen it. Is
I
that
have seen it. Seymour's.
I have never seen. Okay,
That's crazy.
okay. So, I mean, the population of Woking is over just over 100,000. The biggest market share I've seen in a decent sized town
Mm.
is 30%. I've never seen anything with a four in front of it in a big town. Okay, if you're in a small baby town of 8,000 people, that's different.
Mm.
Okay,
Wow, Seymour's,
now
congrats.
you've got to admit that is pretty impressive.
It's very impressive.
Okay, so let's get ahead of ourselves. I'm sure they let themselves down in other avenues. You know, they can't be that perfect. Okay, so oh,
They've got very fancy offices, Chris.
offices aren't everything.
No, I know, but they've got a good. Looks like they've got a good base down there.
Okay, well, I have done some homework, and they've got three in the core postcodes of the Woking and one in GU23. So they've got four offices. I believe I just did a reckoning on all the others. They've just got the one office. Now, we're not saying here that more offices make more listings, because we have seen the opposite of that. Okay, let's just before we start becoming fanboys and girls
Yeah.
let's just look.
We need to remain neutral.
But again, I mean, but look at this. This is okay. So that's in the 50s, 52, 54. Oh, wow, just wow. Okay, just again, I've never, ladies and gentlemen, we do this show every single week and have done since January 2023. I have never ever seen anything like that. I'm genuinely shocked. Okay, right, let's have a look. So we can look at Seymour's. We'll just look at that. Well, we don't need to look at them in isolation, but you can see there the trend upwards is up. So again, you said they've got fancy offices. So I do hope that they're not selling their soul on the altar of cheap fees. Now I've looked at their Facebook page and I can't see. I've just there you go. Yeah, I can't see any cheap fee deals on there. So
No.
I'm assuming it just could be just down to service and market. I don't know. Let's have a look. Okay, so their average price is 593. Okay, which means that they look like they're lower to middle. Although I do believe they do have a posh market brand. I can never pronounce it. Kirchodds. My apologies. I can never. It's one of those words I can never pronounce. Okay, so 9.3% market share, pretty standard there throughout. Seem to be just staying in a lane, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, let's move on to Born estate agents. Again, they seem to be growing, so that's not bad. Well done, guys and girls there. Average price 478. Foundations seem to be middle of the road, around 5%. Some good months,
Maybe
bad months.
high end on the average property price.
Well spotted there. Well spotted. We'll come do that in a second, but well spotted. Chancellors seem to be drifting downwards. I believe Waterfalls, as you can see here, you can see they finished in 2023 here. So there's no 2024 there. They were bought out, I believe, by Winkworth. Or no, Sterling Ackroyd, my apologies. So you can see here, okay. So we'll go to Sterling Ackroyd now. Were Sterling Ackroyd in the town before? Yes, they were. So it looks like here that their Sterling Ackroyd were around 0.87, 0.85 of the market share for resi sales, and they're now at 2.63, 1.2. So have they taken Waterfall's resi sales market? No, not really, have they? No.
No.
And again, ladies and gentlemen, well, 99% of the time, when someone buys an estate agent's and letting agent's brand, they're buying it for the lettings book and the residential sales. They, one and one does not equal two. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, let's go. Go. Go on.
It's fairly interesting to see kind of three bigger players at the bottom in Woking. Obviously Gascoigne Peas, Park Connors Group, Foxton's big fish, Sterling Ackroyd, big company, well known in London especially. Maybe it's a town that prefers more independence, and that maybe that more personal approach, who knows?
Could be. Well spotted there. So again, we'll just have a quick look at some of these leaders. Okay, Brandon's PB dropping Vicaries, Martin and Co, Manners, Wills and Smurden, love that name. Knight Frank. Okay, we will look at the top stuff in a second. Invidges and Hamptons. Right, so let's go look at the upper quartile, ladies and gentlemen. So we'll start off. Okay, let's go down. Let's go from 1 million up. Let's just see what that looks like. Yeah, we'll leave it at, we'll put that. It's more like the upper quintile, but that's fine. Well, isn't that interesting? That
is interesting. Seymour's still there at the top by a long way.
Okay, so this is the only, I love this stat. Now I'm going to have to change it. There's only one location in the UK where the volume agent is also the prestige agent, as in Exeter. And now
it's Woking too.
Now it's Woking as well. And it's the same brand. They've just got, I think if memory serves me well, that like there's this like brand bucket. You've got the word fine, prestige, and whatever, and you just grab a couple of them. So when you want that, do that with nested, you just go to the brand bucket and just pick out fine and prestige and countryside or something like that. Taking the mickey down. Make sure it's always in black and gold as well. People.
Yeah, we have our nested prime, which is Hay blue.
But it's like a royal blue as well, isn't it?
It's Farrow and Bull Hay blue. It's the actual colour of the Farrow and Bull.
Make sure you put a bit of gold. Make sure you put a few serifs in it as well. That's what it's all about. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, a great tip for you, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to name your firm, if you've got a couple of kids, take their middle names, and that's the name of your
property company.
I'm not joking you. Right. Okay. Seymour's. Let's have a look. Wowee. Okay, let's just see if they really. Let's see. We've got to find something to take the shine off Seymour's. 2 million. No way. Look at that.
That's crazy. The only thing, I might be completely off here. The only thing I can think of is that they have, because on their website they've got a few branches, whether they're using one Rightmove account. But you're only using those G postcodes. I just wonder whether they've got several branches in those four outcodes.
They've got three in Corb Woking and one on the outside. And I know that if you actually then, when I looked earlier on, they have a prestige brand, but they've put
it together. Yeah.
What's they done? Because look,
but still,
it would have a separate name here. It would have like Seymour's Prestige.
Yeah.
You can. I believe with Rightmove is that you can have an extra brand, but you don't pay double the price. You pay like an add-on, a bit like mobile phone.
Yeah.
And it counts as you, but it looks the posh people at least they can have their brands. Okay, Prestige, Prime, and Country.
Very good.
There you go. We'll just have a whiz at these. Savills. I'm surprised at Savills should that low. Struts.
Savills and Hamptons have jumped up though from where they were.
I would expect them to. They should be.
Yeah, because they've got.
Doesn't look that. So again, it looks like that Seymour's regional independent player, Kirkchod's, regional independent player, Foundations, local agent, Knight Frank, multinational, Waterfalls and Gascoigne. Okay, okay. All right, let's move on. Time is ticking. Unless anything you want to say?
No, nothing to add. Well done, Seymour's. See how they play in the next section.
All right then. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. So we are. This is a very important. This is my favorite graph chart of all time, and so we are looking in the last 2 years. So we're looking between the 24th of September 2022 through to the 23rd of September 2024. So we're looking at the last 2 years. Okay. Now there is absolute gold in this. This is a game changer. The problem is that a lot of people can't see the wood for the trees. Okay, it's really okay. We can look at the new instructions, the new instruction market share, sale agreed, subject to contract. That we've done those already, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move on and look at what the real deal is here. These 4 columns here, exchanged and withdrawn, are where the true gold is of a state agency. And again, I know you know this every week so I don't change. I'm like a broken record. A property will only leave an estate agent's book if she exchanges or she withdraws. You agree with that premise?
Yeah.
And out of the last 2 years, a total of 3,026 plus 2,737 properties. That's 5,700 at 900. Yeah, it's just over. Yeah, it's just 6,000 and pennies. Have left estate agents' books in Woking. Now, it's the percentage of exchanged versus the percentage of withdrawn that's important. I was genuinely expecting Seymour's, because they're such dominant leaders, to have a poor exchange ratio. This is okay. So 60% of the properties that have left Seymour's in the last 2 years have exchanged, 39% have withdrawn. Kirkcod's 53, Bourne's 53, Foundation's 56, Chancellor's 36, Sterling Ackroyd 38, Foxton's 32, Gascoigne's P's 52, Brandon's 44, Leader's 50, Waterford's 44, Martin & Co 43, Minthome's 62. We'll just have a quick look at everyone else. I mean, that is really good.
Yeah, really good. Yeah, like you said, it was. I was waiting to see. I was waiting to see that number maybe not being as high. I'm always usually an optimist, but I just thought this is too good to be true. But actually, they're doing exceptionally well, way above the average in terms of exchange percentage and withdrawn as well.
I would love to. I'd love to go down there and see exactly what they do, because again, I am pretty gobsmacked at this. Right, let's look at the fall through rate. Seymour's are at 29. Kirkcod's, again, I can't pronounce it, 29. Bourne's at 26. You can see here the average is 27.5. Let's see about stock rotation, price changes. Who's at 70%? Chancellor's at 70%. Again, look, price changes at 70% and their exchange ratio is at 36. If you're over, I wonder if they're overvaluing. Interestingly, we'll have a look at the next screen. We will know which agents are overvaluing and which are not. Okay. The average is 45, so you can see the big 3 agents, well, the one big agent and everyone else, around the same. 31's nice and low. Who's that? Foundations. Well done, Foundations. You're obviously getting your prices right. And 56 is not bad. It's above the average in the town of 52%. So that's really, really good. Okay.
Yeah.
So anything on this before we move on and look at the overvaluing screen? Okay.
Nope.
Okay. Well, Seymour's, you've not let us down yet, and you've not let us down on the screen here. Okay, so what happens on this screen, ladies and gentlemen, is that 20EA will look at every single one of your valuation listings and do an automated valuation figure, almost like a Valpal figure, but obviously their own, and then compare it to what you've put the property on the market for. Okay, as you can see here, that on average, your Seymour's are overvaluing by 1.77%, which is not a problem. Okay, if you sell them, and they are selling them, so obviously they're doing well. Kirkcod's 0.93, Bourne's 1.24, Foundations 0.79, Chancellor's 4.27, Foxton's 3.56 with Sterling Ackroyd in the middle. Wasn't it interesting that the 2 big agents that are overvaluing, Chancellor's and Foxton's,
got the low.
I've got low exchange ratios. If there's nothing that proves, ladies and gentlemen, that overvaluing kills your estate agency,
it basically just proves the whole point we've mentioned throughout this whole show, Chris.
Next, price achieved. What price did you achieve versus your original asking price? And therefore, Seymour's 3.42, Kirkcod's 3.2, and you can see all the numbers all the way down. Now, the problem with the percentages, a lot of people don't like them. And so therefore, what we see on this screen is this. This is why I love this screen. And if I was Seymour's or any agent with some decent numbers, I'd be taking this out and showing it to my vendors. You see, Seymour's for an average £700,000 house will get 687 for it, which is 49p above the average. Okay, fair goes, which the average is 687,987. But this is the bit. If Seymour's are up against Kirkcalds, they get around £4,200 more for the average property than Kirkcalds. Now, Bourne, you're at 688, so you get £600 more than Seymour, nearest damn it. Foundations, you're a little bit less. Chancellors, okay, they might overvalue and they might not get much through, but they do get damn good prices. Okay. Foxton's 26 more. So again, what I would say, you do need to temper that slightly because the numbers are so low. The numbers are low, and therefore it only takes a few weird ones. So you tend to find the numbers, if you notice here, they're all over the place.
Yeah.
Okay. You've got to take them with a slight pinch of salt because they're dealing with such low numbers. The numbers do go all over the place. The big numbers, I would feel confident in the top 5 that they're absolutely bang on. Anything under 100 listing sales agreed, the numbers are going to be a bit all over the place. But again, it's like most things. You take the stats that work for you. Anything on this before we move?
Yeah, I just think overall, well done to Seymour so far. I think they're doing some incredible work. I do think that if you're one of the agents that's on this list, this data, even if it's maybe not as shiny and as great for you, it's good data for you to be aware of and seeing what other agents in your area and how they're being successful. Again, ultimately, the metric that you most care about is the exchange and completion percentage. So how can you change what you're doing in your business to get that increase and increase that up, is my advice to anyone that's watching this that's in any of those branches.
What would you do if you were one of the other agents in the town with regard to your marketing to try and, that is a huge mountain to what would you do?
Well, I think firstly, maybe not marketing aside for a second. I think knowing how you're doing, so doing the exercise of where you rank. What are your numbers? We spoke about it earlier in the show. Like, what is your sale through rate? What are the properties that you're bringing on? What percentage are you selling of those properties that you are a second agent? What percentage of those are you selling? I think really knowing your stats, knowing the local market stats and becoming that local trusted advisor and giving people extra information about what's happening in their local market, I think gains a lot of trust initially.
Again, my daytime job, as I'm sure you're aware, Alice, but some of the people might not be watching this, but my daytime job is that I teach, guide and support and actually write for them content on the local property market. And what I did notice is that there was hardly anyone in Woking talking about the local property market. Most of the social medias that I've been looking at, the top agencies, listing, here's a testimonial, listing, exchange, look how awesome we are, pie chart, look how awesome we are. I did particularly like Seymour's and they're getting involved with the community. But what I would recommend to anyone in that, that is a huge mountain, but the best way to eat an elephant is one mouthful at a time, is start talking about the local property market, because everyone is obsessed about the value of their own property. In fact, what I would say is this: if anyone watching this is from Woking, send me a text message on 07950 147 572 with the word free stuff, Chris, and I will text you how you can talk about the local property market. I would be joining the local Facebook groups, doing the top 50 most expensive streets. You'll get thousands of views. Don't worry, no one from Seymour's is listening to this. They won't do this. They're too busy putting houses on the market and selling them. Your job is to get into the eyeballs and the attention of people, and you do that by talking about the things that they're interested in. And everyone is obsessed about the property market locally, the value of their home. And my recommendation would be talk about the local property market. If you want to know how to do that, send me a text message with the word free stuff, Chris. But if you are an agent in any of those in Woking and you think to yourself, I can't be bothered with that, could you help me do it? I do offer that service. So just bear that in mind. If you want to chat about getting more listings, give me a call, because I do that for over 120 agents around the country. And I only work for one agent per town. Okay, let's move on. Let's look at how agents are selling houses. And Seymour's are selling in the last year, 45 days from new instruction to sale agreed. Kirchhoff's 59, Chancellor's 81, Bourne's 55. So it's all much of a muchness. Foxton's taking a long time, but again, remember they are overvaluing and the prices are coming down. So again, remember the stat: if the longer the property takes to sell, the greater the chance the sale will fall through. Sterling Ackroyd's quite high at 103. Takes on average 57 days to find a buyer in the town. So that's your town, and 129 days to get it through from sale agreed to completion. Let's look at what it was last year. 131 days versus 48 days. Okay, so it's not a massive difference. There's normally about a 20% gap difference between the two. There's probably just about 15-16% difference there. Okay, anything on this before we move on and have a look at the lettings? Okay, wow. Well, there you go. So Seymour's started around the 20% mark. They're up to 40. This is new listings. This doesn't show stock levels, but it does show it gives a good indicating. I don't know if that looks like an acquisition. If it's not an acquisition, boy oh boy, that makes them look even good. We'll soon know if it is an acquisition because we can have a look at see if anyone has left the market. Leaders have dropped from 10 to 5. They don't sell. Manners, their market share seems to be drifting downwards. Open rent, that's interesting because normally that nationally that's been around 5% and is now up to nearly 20%. I've never seen that. So open rent are not getting in Woking. Okay, let's have a look. Bourne's, they're growing. No date change there. Foxton's, Martin and Co. All the dates. I can't see.
Waterfalls were what was it that from previously that were an acquisition that we thought?
They went to Sterling Ackroyd.
Oh, that was it, Sterling Ackroyd, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting too small now.
Yeah.
Okay, that's got to be natural growth.
They're doing well.
I'd love to be a fly on the wall on that one.
Yeah.
What are they doing? What are they?
Maybe drop them a message, Chris. Get some insight for your listeners.
Get them on the sofa. Who knows? I'll ring up. I'll see. I don't know the
I bet you they can give some great insight on your sofa. We'd love to see that.
Impressive. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we've finished Woking now. Remember, give me a shout 07950 147 572 if you want the free stuff. Show you how to do that. And if you do want to chat about, you want to get the content but don't want to do it yourself, then give me a shout as well on that one. Okay, Alice, been wonderful as ever, sharp as a button. Final thoughts before we go.
Final thoughts, Chris. I think this year, as we mentioned, coming into January, we just wouldn't have thought that maybe the numbers would have looked as good as they have. So I think we can take a lot of positive sentiment to that. But it still is price sensitive. It does not pay to overprice and underdeliver on your clients. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help them. One thing just to be really wary of, we haven't spoken about it. We will start speaking about it more in the coming weeks, I think. Buyer stamp duty deadline, end of March. The properties that are in your area that the first time buyers are going to be purchasing, now is the time to be making sure that buyers realise that as it currently stands, there's no additional stamp duty holiday, unless I've missed a news flash in the last hour or so. So that's kind of, again, educating your market, educating your buyers, educating your sellers, that deadline, when you look at the time it takes to sell, we're not too far off it. So now's the time to be acting if you're a buyer, you're wanting to get in before that stamp duty change.
Absolutely bang on. Alice, you've been exceptional as always. We'll look forward to seeing you back near the Christmas time. But more importantly, thank you for watching the show. We hope that's been of use to you. I've been enlightened with regard to the town and the agents, and the stats are just bumbling along quite nicely. Thank you for watching. And if you've got any comments, both good or constructive or even bad, put them in the comments. Alice, thank you for your time today and thank you for watching.